This build continues to evolve. When we started out, I wanted to do something I could really spend time on, something I had never tried before. And that's pretty much what I got. Building a custom body and mold over a Porsche chassis hasn't been quick or easy. But now we're getting to the point where we gotta commit and make it happen. It's time for the next phase of things. Got my friend, Hardcore Bob Gore. He's coming in to be the guinea pig. I mean, to help me experiment on this mold process.
Oh, man. When I walked in, yeah, I was totally floored. He totally blew my mind when I saw what he had sitting there for me to work on.
So, you know, Victor wanted a concept sports car. So this is where we're at with it.
You're definitely on the right road there. Ian does classics and custom classic work and things that you would totally think of nostalgic, and it totally blew my mind seeing that, walk in and see that he's working on a supercar. Man, when you told me about it before and you sent me a couple pictures in the works, but this is this is beyond what I was thinking already.
The whole thing with this is that this isn't the finished car. This isn't even the car we're building. We're gonna build a mold on this.
Why are you building a mold instead of just making this the car?
Seems like every time I just throw this term, we're making a mold on the car, people just are all question marks. Bob's the same thing. Like, what do you mean? It looks like a car right here I'm looking at. And I'm saying, no, this is just a sculpture. It's about 5 inches thick.
I was gonna say, it feels pretty solid.
Yeah. And I'm creating a shell on top of it that is a negative image of the sculpture. Then you create another sculpture, the mold, and you get your finished product. By not creating a finished piece, by doing it more like a sculpture, we're able to change aspects of it. And in the end, the mold will give us a really lightweight finished body. This thing has to weigh 3,000 pounds as it is, just the body.
We started going over why he was doing what he was doing. And the thing that came to mind was, hey, we're doing this for Victor. And Victor is a master of change and improvement. I never would have thought of making a mold out of it. I would have just made the first initial car, and said, there it is.
Yeah, that's the thing. It looks good now, but the kicker is I've never built a mold this big. So that's why you're here.
Guinea pig.
Well, I can blame it on you if it doesn't work.
Right.
That's
Okay.
the ball guy. I got a test piece over here, so we're just gonna make a mold on that. If that works, we're gonna make a mold of the whole car. Everything I've done so far has been in order to get to this mold process. So this is like the critical moment. I think we should do a practice on this Mustang hood because all these contours, if we can get it to release off that, I don't see anything with this amount of draft on that car. The first step here for me is to just examine the process, just test it out on something that doesn't have a lot of draft. In other words, not a lot of negative space that the mold can hook onto. So I've got this car hood and I think it represents a good amount of detail, nothing more dramatic than the shape we have. The worst case scenario is that we glue this mold to the car and we can't break it off. You ruin the whole car.
You mean you could actually stick the mold to the vehicle itself, to the model?
And that would be a disaster. Imagine we build this huge fiberglass structure and it's glued shut. We ruined the entire project so far. If this mold sticks to the car, all of the design we've done, all of the sculpting is at a loss. It's trapped in this giant blob of fiberglass. Bottom line is I'm trying to do everything I can to avoid that situation. So this stuff is kind of the formula that allows you to break the mold off, theoretically.
Okay. The releasing agent.
Yeah, part all
okay.
paste. So I put one coat on already, but the information I got was you want 3 or 4 coats of this. So basically just brush it on and buff it off.
All right, let's try it.
I'm explaining to him the critical factor of this mold being able to release. You know, if it sticks to the car, it's a total loss. So in order for the thing to not stick to the car, it's all on you, buddy. Just as long as you do this one process right, we're gonna be okay.
Wax on, wax off. Yes, sensei.
That's
yes,
exactly
sensei.
it. The true joy of being in this managerial position at this point is that I get to stand back and watch the show for a minute. You know, I'm usually the guy thrashing, sweating it.
I got the agent on there. What happens if I didn't get it on there the right way?
I don't know. That's your job. Through this whole thing, Bob is super concerned. You know, he's taking this to heart like it's his reputation on the line if it fails. Bob's got this covered, I'm sure. Just have a little lunch break, watch the process.
Can I have a bite of that sandwich, man?
Oh, sure. After the release agent's in place, the only different aspect of the fiberglass process is putting this layer of gel coat. What the gel coat does is creates a nice, smooth, black surface. It basically keeps the fibers in the fiberglass off of the surface of the finished mold piece. What I'm gonna do is just pre-cut all this fiberglass, because as soon as that starts set and 3 coats of that, we're gonna just layer this right on top. It's all the same material.
Usually when I come in, I get to watch Ian do his thing and then add my twist to it or whatever I have to offer to it. I didn't expect to be put on the hot seat and say, here, if this doesn't work, it's on you, Bob.
This is looking good. You're hired. The resin sets up pretty quick. You know, here we are 25, 30 minutes later, and it's hard. It seems like we could pop it off. Wow, it works. At this stage, I'm 50-50. I have no idea. Just in putting this wax on the surface, what do I know? That's just what they told me to do. I've never tried this. Thing is, I'm just working the edges. You know, you got to start somewhere. So I don't know if we're going to crack this or break it. We're just working the edges, trying to get something to release. Holy moly.
Yeah, baby.
Look at that.
Oh, man.
Totally worked. As soon as there was enough pressure, it just released. It's a
Victory.
Good.
Victory.
Bob was here specifically for this. If it went wrong, I could blame it on him. He's got to hit the road. It's all smiles. You know, setting it on the car, checking it out. It's like, okay, we're going to do this to the entire vehicle. What we just did is just a drop in the bucket. This project has required a huge amount of body work. Every line on the body has been created by hand. So Victor's guys are helping out on the side. Hector and Javier, ace body guys. They've been with Victor for years, and they're here on the team now.
Ian, how you doing?
Down to the wire, man. You've been sanding and sanding and sanding.
Looking pretty awesome, man.
Victor hasn't been here for a minute, and the 3 of us have been hammering on this thing. There's a lot of dust in the room. Stuff's been happening. It's the thing, without these 2 guys, it wouldn't have happened this quick, man.
Man, you're on. How you guys doing, man? You've been working out. I thought you were the guy that doesn't sleep, and you got my guys that are working 24/7.
I'm the manager now. I stepped
Hey,
up, man.
it's
I get
about
the
time,
management.
man. I'm glad.
Victor's responding to all the block sanding. He knows what it takes to make a straight car. It's looking good. What I really wanted to show him was this mold experiment we just pulled off and how that's going to transfer to the next step in the process. Well, we got this hood here. It was just laying outside.
Where did you get this at?
This is the mold. This is the whole process.
You did this?
Yeah, we did this yesterday.
You're kidding.
So I just had this old fiberglass hood, and you know, this was made in a mold, so we made a mold on it. And what we learned was, you know, obviously the gloss paint really helps with the release. See how smooth it is?
I see.
But what we learned too, see, it took some of the car with it. See this here?
Yes.
This was scratched in the hood, and of course, when you make a mold, you get a perfect scratch in reverse.
That's pretty awesome.
He's definitely relieved. You know, there's kind of been this like gray area on the end finish here, and showing him this mold, he is all charged up. The nicer the masterpiece is, the better the mold is. So instead of body work in the mold, we'll just get that perfect, paint it, and then do the work on the mold. Once we make the mold, it's permanent. The only question is, what are you gonna change now?
Well, that's the question. You know me.
It's your last chance.
Yeah.
I'm all amped up to get on with this, you know. I've got my salesman suit on, and I'm telling Victor, now's the time, man. It's gonna happen. If there's anything you need to change, speak now or forever hold your peace.
All right, well, let me give it one last look then.
Victor's sweating it, you know. He's a man who loves to modify stuff, and he's taking it to heart, you know. It's like the guy at his wedding, and he's not 100% sure. It's like, dude, is it yes or is it no?
You know what, Ian? I'm committed. Let's go for it. No more changes. I'm done.
Praise the Lord. The debate is over. Victor said he commits. He's going for it. The thing is, the mold requires that nice surface to release properly. What it means is we're gonna have to get this car painted like final nice gloss show car finish. It can't just be primered. We need a gloss because the mold reflects every defect.
So just as if we were finishing the car, completed, detailed, lined, blocked, buffed, everything, huh? And I mean, the sad thing is, that would have been like finished, ready to like, you know, show the world, right?
We're
But
just
now,
starting.
We're gonna tear the whole thing apart, literally. I'm gonna
Exactly.
cry. I want this cut up so I could put it in my room.
I know, that's the thing. All this work, and now we're gonna destroy it. That's it, Victor gave the word. Go ahead, get this thing finalized, get it painted. Let's get to the next step. Got this thing painted, dialed in. It's looking good. The whole concept here was the color choice will not be represented in the end. It's a gray tone. The main thing I wanted was a reflection. That's how you can look down the sides and be sure they're straight. That's what we need to get this mold going. This thing is really shaped up. You know, all that block sanding totally pays off when you get a clear coat on it. It's time to get on with making this mold. First things first, I want to get the car up in the air, stable-like, because I'm gonna have to do a lot of work and underneath and around the fender wells and stuff. I got these quick jacks. They'll lift the car almost 2 feet. Really cool. I don't like to have a lift in the shop, but they always seem to be in the way. So these guys, you just roll them out, put them under the car and lift it up. It's just like anything else. You work in as comfortable a position as you can. I'm gonna have to do a bunch of stuff up in the fender wells, under the rocker panels. So in other words, it's not so high up, I can't reach the roof. There's no pillar in the way you'd see with a standard vehicle lift. Full 360 access, about 1.5 feet off the floor. It's perfect for what I need. I think a typical car mold is built in like 7 or 8 pieces. I think we can get away with a 5-piece mold. In other words, the hood will split in half, left and right. The roof and door sections will be 1 piece, and then the right and left rear quarter panel will pop off independently. This is an exciting part for me because the whole build has led up to this moment. Instant wheel arch. The whole thing with the parting line is the mold has to separate. When you reassemble the parts, you want to be sure that they don't shift because otherwise you're going to have a big step in the surface. So my simplified keyway is using this board. It's a door jamb with ridges. So you have this series of ridges and then they index every time. In other words, it's not going to move up and down because it's keyed. The first step of the process is exactly like what you saw on the mock-up with Bob. Just going to put this release agent on. The one difference is this time it absolutely counts. Hey, what's up? Oh. What is this, Fashion Week? Come here. Shop inspector's here just for one quick glimpse at the magic. You know, he knows this is not the standard procedure. He's very concerned, so it's a toxic environment. Bottom line is I am going for this solo, unsupervised, no inspection, no quality control, anything could happen. Later, Wonder Mutt, it's been real. After the release agent dries up, first step is gel coat 3 times. 3 layers of gel coat, that helps keep the fiberglass fiber off of the surface. Gel coat is on, now 3 layers of this. So I'm cutting up fiberglass mat now. It's gonna be 3 layers. First layer I'm starting with is super thin. I noticed with that other test, these heavier panels were having trouble molding into the contours, and I want to be sure that it lays down. So the first layer is ultra light. The thing I'm responding to is how much effort this takes, you know. I've heard about hand-laid parts, how they're kind of superior and that they're a really perfect fit up. The thing I had no idea was how much material is used. This is 1/5 of the mold, and it's just taking a ton of product. It's gonna get real ugly before it gets better. Hopefully Victor doesn't get traumatized. Passenger side is 1/2 of the nose piece. I'm gonna do the same exact process on the driver's side. That represents the nose. Get those in place, pull it off. I got the front hood section laid up in 2 pieces, left and right, and now I'm working on the roof door section, which is in 1 piece. So out of the 5-piece mold, number 3 is in progress. I laid up the passenger side like super overkill. I stopped laminating the ribs in on the 2nd piece because I realized I might want this thing to flex a bit in order to get it to release from the car. So that's the thing, this first release is just gonna tell me what needs to happen. Is it the more rigid one or is it the more flexible one that releases easier? I'm getting wild style on this. It's totally out of spec for what the shop inspectors used to seeing. You know, there's like no process, there's no procedure. It's just glommed on the car and he is like super leery. So it's the moment of truth, man. Victor's on his way right now. We're gonna see if this is gonna part, see if it's gonna come off the car. Are you ready to witness the grandeur of all of this effort? What do you think? The thing is, no matter what the critiques say, you gotta work through this. We gotta make this stick. Maybe stick's not the best word, you know, non-stick surface. You gotta make it non-stick.
Yo, Ian, what's up?
Hey, we're ready to pull this thing off of the nose.
This thing's looking like pretty interesting, to say the least, man.
I told you it was gonna get ugly before it gets better.
Man, well, it looks pretty impressive. It looks like you know what you're doing, so
Hey, it's the first
I'm
time for
baking on
everything.
it for the first time. I mean, you're running this thing too smooth.
Yeah. Victor's concerned, you know, but he's confident as well. We proved the concept, Bob and I, with the test. You know, he's just seeing this on a bigger scale. That's the thing, if this thing doesn't release, it's game over. We're literally starting from scratch, so.
Well, your test mold did, so hey, this has a better paint job than the test mold, right?
That's kind of what I was thinking. It's definitely set up. I think it just might work.
Let's do it, start pulling, man. Dude, get ready.
I knew when I was laying this up, it was grabbing in some places. I knew I'd have to do a little trim work to get it off, so going in, going around the edges, same thing as the test piece, just trimming back the sides. At this stage, I'm feeling confident. There's no reason it shouldn't work, but this is the moment of truth. We gotta pull this thing off. Going in, just trying to start this prying procedure, and I'm expecting it to pop, to release, like it did. I don't know, dude, it's just not releasing. I might have to get out the grinder and just start sawing into this thing. I wanted Victor to be here for this. He missed the release of the first one. You remember, it was all smiles and celebration, but it's not the case right now.
You want me to call another guy here to hop on this so 3 or 4 of us could pull on it?
Victor's not a guy who's known for his patience, you know? He's like, problem, remedy it. He wants to call in some help.
Javi, could you come over to Ian's shop?
Okay, yeah.
All right, bye.
I have no idea what's going on in there. I've never built a mold before.
Javi, how you doing? That's perfect. All right, 1, 2, 3.
Victor's totally results oriented, so he's there, oh, pry a little, pry harder, let's get it.
Oh, see.
It's cracking the mold. Hold on. Something's trapping it here. One thing I was thinking from the start, these vents, they do have draft, they do have a bit of undercut. I'm thinking, quick solution is to cut that area out. We can always patch it in later.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was keying
Yeah.
it in. Thing is, I trimmed this out and it's still stuck. It doesn't make sense. We have a perfectly smooth, polished surface. What's it stuck to? We got the mold on the car and it's not releasing. This is not good. We're at the risk of losing everything we've worked for. We gotta get this thing off.
Yeah, that side's coming up. It's just in here.
Oh, did you hear that?
Yeah,
There
see.
went, the whole thing came
All
up.
right, let's, on the count of 3, all of us, I guess. 1, 2.
There it is. When it released, it's like, oh, perfect. It's exactly what we were hoping for, a half hour ago. It was glued itself to the paint.
How weird.
We will pick it up and we look back at the car and I see the paint has totally delaminated. I mean, it's a mess. The only thing I'm thinking is the paint not being cured up, it became like a glue. I guess the heat from the resin kind of caused it to become liquid again, and some of it went with the mold, some of it stayed with the car, so it was literally, that was the lock. It was a freaking suction cup. And look, it's not even stuck to the mold. It just came along for the ride. So the mold is in perfect shape. Getting this one piece released, the alarm bells start to go off. This is a problem over the whole car. This isn't unique to this panel. Let's break everything right now. Second piece comes off. You know, I'm multifaceted, back in the salesman's role, and I'm like, no, don't look over there. This is what you're looking at, and the mold is good. Piece of cake. Might not be the prettiest, but hey, I know we got what we needed out of this. I think we made it. It was a little sloppy. We got it. Next, we got to get the roof section off, but it's as stuck as the rest. There it is. All right. Getting the roof off was a huge thing. Now I just want to work through the rest of the car. My idea with the mold being in 5 pieces, 3 in the front come off independently. I just want to get to these rear portions. This is the biggest panel in the car. You know, these 2 rear quarters, they go literally from the rear license plate right up to the front tire. I hope it releases. Thing is, I'm in the thick of it, literally. I thought it was gonna be, oh, we put it on and we take it off, and that's not the case. This is a stumbling, messy dance. All right, that's the way it's supposed to work. We're getting results. We're not out of the woods yet. I just got one more rear panel to go, and then we can see if this mold is actually gonna work.